Hey everyone, welcome to Reality TV News Update, the place where we bring you the latest updates, fun moments, and behind-the-scenes stories you won't want to miss. The Big Brother 27 house was already a pressure cooker of shifting alliances, late-night plotting, and relationship drama. But nothing prepared viewers for the firestorm that erupted midway through the season. What began as a casual friendship between two house guests turned into one of the most heated public debates in Big Brother history, dragging fans, family members, and even the show's jury into a conversation that blurred the line between gameplay, emotional intimacy, and the real-world boundaries of committed relationships. For days, the live feeds buzzed with clips, comments, and speculation. Fans divided into factions, social media threads exploded past 50,000 comments, and emotional cheating became the buzzword dominating both the house and the fandom. But inside the game, the story was far more complicated. A friendship that never looked simple. From the moment the season began, Vince Pinaro and Morgan Pope were drawn to each other. They weren't a showmance, at least not officially. There were no whispered midnight kisses, no cuddling under blankets, no declarations of game-side romance. But what they did have was something quieter, deeper, and far more contested. A bond. A bond many viewers didn't believe was purely platonic. Both entered the house with relationships on the outside. Vince with Kelsey, his girlfriend of nearly 2 years, and Morgan with a situationship that faded the second she stepped into the Big Brother world. But from the moment the feeds caught Vince and Morgan huddled together on day 6, sharing stories about family expectations, fears, childhood memories, and the pressure of being underestimated, fans noticed an unmistakable closeness. And as the weeks passed, that spark became the most dissected connection in the house. "I just feel like we understand each other," Morgan told Riley during one late-night conversation. "It's not romantic, it's just comfortable." But comfort, especially in a lockdown house filled with cameras, can start looking like something else. The flashpoint, the hammock night that changed everything. The moment that launched 1,000 tweets happened on day 48. It was a quiet evening, the type of slow feed night where fans paid extra attention. Vince and Morgan lay in the backyard hammock, wrapped in blankets against a late summer breeze, whispering in that soft, conspiratorial tone that instantly sent the fandom into overdrive. "You make this house feel safe," Vince told her. Morgan froze for a split second, long enough for the live feed audience to collectively gasp, before she laughed it off. "Don't make it weird," she said, nudging him gently. But it was already too late. Fans clipped the moment, slowed it down, replayed it, analyzed body language, and broke down every second. Was it romantic, emotional, harmless, crossing a line? The debate split the fandom in half. Kelsey speaks out, and the internet explodes. Kelsey, watching from home, had tried to ignore the growing chatter. At first, she brushed off the comments, dismissing them as fandom overreaction. But when her phone began flooding with tags, accusations, and edited montages of Vince and Morgan moments, the situation spilled into the real world. On day 52, she finally posted, "I trust Vince, but as someone on the outside, watching certain moments is hard." It was a measured statement, but the internet doesn't do subtle. Within hours, hashtag Team Kelsey and hashtag Team Vince trended. Fans accused Vince of disrespect. Some defended him fiercely, and others argued that Morgan was being unfairly villainized. By the next morning, Kelsey's post had spawned video essays, TikToks, and a full Reddit war zone. But the real drama was only beginning. The house reacts, rumors, tension, and a heated backyard confrontation. The live feed audience wasn't alone in noticing the closeness. Catherine, who had been observing Vince and Morgan for weeks, finally voiced what multiple house guests had whispered privately. "Look," she said, "I think you two need to be careful. There's a difference between strategy and whatever this is." Morgan stiffened. "It's called friendship. Not everything is a scandal." But the seed was planted. Later that night, Riley, never one to tiptoe, told Vince bluntly, "You know people outside might think this is emotional cheating, right?" Vince, visibly shaken, sat silently for several seconds. "I'm not doing anything wrong," he said finally. "I'm allowed to care about someone." The tension simmered until the infamous backyard confrontation a few days later. Morgan, overwhelmed by whispers and side eyes, pulled Vince aside. "People are acting like we're doing something wrong," she said, voice sharp with frustration. "No," he replied. "They're acting like I'm doing something wrong." But what neither of them said aloud, though anyone watching could see it, was how afraid they were of losing the one connection that made the house bearable. The jury house breaks the fourth wall. Once jurors began entering the jury house, the debate followed them like a storm cloud. Lauren was the first to bring it up, asking the others, "So, are Vince and Morgan actually a thing?" Zach laughed and shook his head. "I don't think so. But man, if my girlfriend watched that, she'd be pissed." "Same," Lauren added. "Like, I trust my partner, but emotional lines are real." The interesting twist was every juror had a different definition of emotional cheating. For some, it was physical contact. For others, it was emotional intimacy. For others, it was sharing deep personal stories. And that debate, messy, layered, unresolved, mirrored exactly what fans were fighting about online. The show edits it in, and suddenly it's bigger than BB27. Producers finally leaned into the controversy during episode 27, airing a montage titled "Vince and Morgan's Bond, Friendship or Something More?" The segment included the hammock moment, whispered late-night strategy chats, Morgan grabbing Vince's arm during a fight, Vince hugging her after a loss, and multiple house guests discussing the relationship. By the time the episode ended, the emotional cheating debate had gone mainstream. Talk shows discussed it, podcasts debated psychology and boundaries, celebrity fans weighed in, even former Big Brother players posted reactions. Suddenly, this wasn't just a BB27 storyline. It became a cultural conversation. The eviction speech heard around the world. When Vince was finally evicted on day 72, he left behind one of the season's most complicated arcs. In his exit interview with Julie Chen Moonves, she didn't avoid the issue. "Vince," she said gently, "your relationship with Morgan has stirred a lot of conversation. How do you define the connection the two of you had?" Vince took a long breath. "She's my friend, one of the best friends I've ever had. If people saw something else, that wasn't my intention. I love my girlfriend, and I respect her. But I also cared about Morgan. That's the truth." Julie nodded, but the audience, both in the studio and online, wasn't unanimous. Some saw honesty. Some saw deflection. Some saw emotional conflict he wasn't ready to admit. And Kelsey? She posted only a single sentence that night: "We'll talk privately." Morgan's final weeks, isolation, guilt, and a reputation she didn't ask for. After Vince left, Morgan's experience shifted dramatically. Some house guests treated her differently, less warmly, more cautiously. Fans online battled over her character. Some championed her as unfairly targeted. Others accused her of crossing lines. Morgan confided in Catherine one night, "I feel like the whole world thinks I stole someone's boyfriend. I didn't even want that narrative." But the truth was clear. Whether she intended it or not, she and Vince had formed one of the most emotionally intense bonds of the season. The finale, a reunion filled with tension and unspoken questions. When the season finally ended, fans waited eagerly for the post-finale interactions between Vince, Morgan, and Kelsey. Vince hugged Morgan tightly on stage, whispering, "I missed you." Morgan smiled nervously but didn't cling. Kelsey, watching nearby, kept her expression neutral, supportive but not warm. Fans dissected every angle, every eyebrow raise, every awkward pause. But what mattered most wasn't body language. It was what the three of them didn't say. There was no clear resolution, no labels, no dramatic blow-up or sweeping forgiveness, just three people, all trying to understand the blurry space between intention and perception. The real question is, what is emotional cheating? In the end, the debate became bigger than the show. Experts weighed in. Psychologists explained emotional intimacy. Relationship coaches discussed boundaries, and viewers reflected on their own relationships. Some argued emotional cheating is when emotional needs are met outside the relationship.
Physical contact isn't required. Secrecy makes it worse. Others insisted humans bond naturally. Reality show pressure amplifies everything. Vulnerability doesn't equal infidelity. And for many, the line remained completely subjective. Where the story leaves Vince, Morgan, and Kelsey. After the season, one thing became clear. All three lives had changed. Vince and Kelsey announced they were taking time to rebuild communication. Morgan said she was focusing on herself and wished both of them well. The fandom continued to debate the issue long after the finale aired. But perhaps the most profound takeaway came from a comment Morgan made during a post-show interview. I think people forget we're human. We cared about each other because the house was hard, too hard to do alone. But caring doesn't automatically mean cheating. It was the kind of truth only someone who lived through the storm